Goodness me, I remember when we reviewed the ID.3 not too long ago, and the weather then, well, I must be doing something wrong because it's windy today and it's going to rain again later. Really good. This is the ID.4. It is an SUV and it is the second model to be launched under VW's ID electric banner. Looks familiar, right? That's going to be a recurring theme over the next few years, a bit like the Golf looks a bit like the Passat. The Passat looks a little bit like a Tiguan. This is VW's electric car design language. So the ID.4 will most likely look a little bit like the ID.5. The ID.5 will look a little bit like the ID.6. Enough about styling. We'll talk about that over the next few minutes. But let's get cracking, shall we? Make sure you click like on this video if you like the video, of course. Click the bell icon, then you get notifications every time a new video goes live. And don't forget to subscribe to the Carbuyer YouTube channel.
Now, I expect many of you have already watched our rundown of the ID.3, and that's good, because much of what we said about that car rings true here. The ID.4 sits on the same mechanical platform as the ID.3. It uses the same batteries and electric motors, and will do between 211 and 323 miles on a charge. While for now, we're driving a flashy first edition model, the usual Life, Family and Max trims are also available.
If you thought the outside looked similar, I mean, the interior is pretty much identical. In a way, I'm wondering why we're bothering to do this review, but then I realise we're so blooming thorough here at Carbuyer. Look, I know this looks cool and ultra modern with the minimalistic dash, big screens, digital dials, but the same frustrations apply, and those frustrations mainly revolve around the infotainment system. Okay, we've got wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, the graphics are nice and sharp and it's responsive enough. But if you're going to use VW's built-in software, it's just not that intuitive enough or easy to understand. What's more, VW persists in having the ventilation and heating controls along these touchy, slidey touchiness. I didn't like it in the Golf, I didn't like it in the ID.3, and I don't like it in here either. Harumph. Okay, that's where my frustrations end. We do like the futuristic feel, and even though some of the materials used do feel a little bit cheap, it's not a deal breaker. Oh, more on those later. Now, chances are, if you're looking at an ID.4, you're probably wondering how it fares as a family car, and the news is it's very good. I mean, again, the electric specific platform comes to mind. The fact that VW built this car without an engine means that they could create more space back here. I mean, the ID.3 was good. This is better. I'm 5'6", loads of legroom, loads of headroom. You've got 2 ISOFIX points on the outer seats, and if you're going to be that awkward person sat in the middle, it's actually not that awkward because look at all that legroom. Amazing.
The boot comes in at 543 litres or 1,655 litres with the seats folded down. That is bigger than the Mustang Mach-E, or on par with a lot of petrol-powered SUV rivals. Thankfully, there's a space for charging cables underneath the boot floor, and they aren't in the way of your shopping or sliding around in the back as you drive. One annoying thing, and what feels like a missed opportunity, is that the ID.4 has no frunk or fruit front boot underneath the bonnet, especially as it was designed to be an electric car from the outset.
Well, would you look at that? We were in the front seat and then we're in the back seat, now we're back in the front. It's magic. Do you know what? I get this instant feeling of ease every time I get into an electric vehicle. I think that's more truthful for the ID.3 and the ID.4 than it is for any other EVs, electric vehicles. See, this ID.4 doesn't have the crazy dual motor setup that you get in some rivals, or at least not yet. Anyway, therefore the power in this is a little bit more modest. 201 brake horsepower will do 0 to 62 in a very respectable 8.5 seconds. But what's nice is you still get that nice shove in the back when you put your foot down like that. That is awesome. Love that feeling. Now the speed is limited to 99 mile an hour, but it's still a very happy cruiser when you're on the motorway going 70 mile an hour. But let's be honest, if you're going to stay around that top end speed often, then you're going to see that 300 odd mile range dwindle very, very quickly. So it pays to adopt a more relaxing, gentle driving style.
As with any electric car, there are a few ways that you can charge the ID.4. This electric SUV can accept speeds of up to 125 kilowatts. Find an appropriate charger, and you can replenish the batteries to 80% full, adding around 200 miles of range, in just 35 minutes. It is worth noting, however, that the smaller battery models don't charge quite as quickly. Of course, most ID.4 owners will charge at home. Those with a 7.4 kilowatt wall box can top up overnight, with a full charge taking little over 12 hours. A 3-pin plug isn't standard, but the slow charge rate of almost 40 hours means few owners will bother adding one as an optional extra.
The ID.4 is quiet, however, wherever you drive it. Now, even though this is a raised up SUV, the centre of gravity is still quite low, so it makes the handling a lot better. Actually makes it a lot more fun to drive. The suspension is supple enough to soak up any imperfections, also stops the body from rolling too much in corners and when you're on difficult roads. Balanced is the word I'd use. Balanced. And let's be honest, most people are going to use the ID.4 when they're in and around town, and that is where this car is brilliant. It is quiet, it is easy to drive. Oh, also, because there's no engine getting in the way of the front wheels, it's got a teeny tiny turning circle, so parking is an absolute doddle. Bonus.
First edition models like this are pretty fancy. You get LED lights and 20-inch wheels, plus that 10-inch screen, dual-zone climate control and a reversing camera. We must highlight, at this point, that the top-spec Skoda Enyaqs are likely to offer all of this for a much cheaper price when they arrive later in 2021. One worth keeping an eye on, we think. Oh, and remember that recently the grants for private buyers looking to switch to electric have been slashed. So if this matters to you, be careful which ID.4 you go for. Company car drivers will still save thousands compared to an equivalent petrol or diesel model, of course. Life, Family and Max trims have recently been added to the range, as well as a sporty IDX version, each of which offers different spec, battery and motor combinations, depending on what you want or what you need. As always, a rundown of all the trims and specs available can be found on our website. Just search Volkswagen ID.4 on carbuyer.co.uk. Right, who's for some deal makers and deal breakers? Compared with some rivals that have been built on petrol platforms, the ID.4's electric from the ground up, so it's seriously spacious. Another advantage of that platform is how this car drives. It's both comfortable and quite fun. The flashy first edition comes with loads of kit, but cheaper models offer better value, offering most of the essentials for lots less cash. Sorry guys, but we still find the infotainment and climate controls fiddly to use. It gives the dashboard a clean finish, but the whole setup should be simpler to operate. Recent changes to the government's plug-in car grants means that some ID.4 models will be exempt from any incentives. The Skoda Enyaq is based on the same electric architecture, so should offer much more of the same positives for a cheaper price.
I liked the ID.3, but I think I like the ID.4 more. I know that first edition models like this one are a bit pricey, but more affordable versions should hit the sweet spot. I like the way it looks. It's spacious, it will do a very respectable amount of miles before you've got to charge it back up again. It's not perfect. The infotainment system is annoying, and the stupid climate controls are infuriating to use while you're driving. But as a family SUV, it nails the brief. I think VW wanted the ID.3 to be the people's car, but I think they're wrong. I reckon it's this.
If you like this video, then why not watch our review of the Ford Mustang Mach-E or our electric cars playlist. Thanks for watching.